No one is blacker than a white person who does the bare minimum. Video by Lonnie's Lens. Okay, this video is going crazy. Let's check it out, man. What an interesting title.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say why they're not listening to me.
Right. Yeah.
This shit got
Facts.
crazy, man.
Facts, bro. Fact. That's so true, nigga. If you want to impress people in a dance circle as a black man, nigga, you gotta dance like Chris Brown. But a white dude, he comes in and he hits one of these, and everyone's like, oh, you know, he hits one of these. Everyone's like, oh shit, oh fuck, this nigga can dance. It's like, you know what I'm saying? That's crazy. You gotta get sturdy as a black man to get any respect.
You know I love you, man. Come on, man. E-Weezy. Come on, baby. E-Weezy. Come on, baby.
Look at the fucking text. Timothy Chalamet for some reason right now. This is so true, bro.
E-Weezy. Come on, clown it, baby.
Facts.
Clown it. Turn around, because you know I clown it. Come on, player. Stop hating. Stop hating.
Oh,
Stop
God.
participating. Stop participating, star. Come on, twinkle, twinkle, baby. Twinkle, twinkle.
Easy.
Twinkle,
A few months
twinkle.
ago, I saw a TikTok of a woman comforting other black people who've been made to feel like they weren't black enough by the black community. Whether it's because of our interests, speech, style, etc., a lot of black people feel like they aren't performing blackness the right way. I've been working through this thought process myself and have come to the conclusion that the only thing that qualifies my blackness is me being black. Seems pretty simple, right? I actually got a comment on the community post teasing this video from a white man who said he had dreadlocks for 13 years. And if you know me personally in real life, there is nothing more offensive to me than a white person with dreadlocks.
Really?
I don't know what it is. Saying the N-word is crazy, but dreadlocks as a white person shows a lot of commitment to the bid that I just can't get with.
Nah. I definitely much prefer the white dude with dreadlocks than the white dude who thinks he can say the N-word, bro. Personally, I'll take fucking, you know what I'm saying, Blake Marley over fucking clavicular any day of the week.
Personally. But the comment was really reflective in saying that despite doing all these stereotypically black things and being referred to as black by black people and white people alike, they've come to the realization that they do not have the black experience because they are not black. And it really should be that simple, but it rarely is. This creator took it a step further, arguing that we should not be worried about qualifying our blackness at all, because most of the time, white people are praised and accepted into the community, invited to the cookout, if you will, for doing the absolute
Right?
minimum. And when she said that, a few things clicked
That
for
makes
me.
so
She
much
was
sense though, for real.
watching the entire video, and to this day it is one of my biggest regrets that I did not save it, because now I cannot find it for the life of me. Let me know down in the comments if you know this creator or if you've seen this video. Felt like a fever dream. I might have just imagined the whole thing, but she is completely right. I've seen this phenomenon play
That's
out.
insane. I never even thought about it like that. Bro, if a white dude has a fade and a crispy lineup, he in the club. He invited to the cookout. Why you gotta jump through all kinds of hoops as a black person to feel like you? Now, I can't even relate to that, to be real with you. I've always felt embraced by black people. Even here in America as a Jamaican person, I've always felt like I've been a part. I'm tall, I'm athletic. It's like the cheat code to life. Sorry, you know what I'm saying? But shit, yeah. Like I hear that a lot though from certain black people, especially like black people who like feel super nerdy or they're super into white people shit, you know what I'm saying, like punk rock and skateboarding and shit like that. And you'll hear them talk about, you know what I'm saying, too white for the black kids, too black for the white, something like that. But that's crazy as a white dude. If you wear some fucking Jordan 1s, have a crispy fade and a crispy lineup, and you know what I'm saying, aren't wearing a fucking sweater vest, it's like you're in.
My entire life, and I'm so glad she gave me the language to describe it. And now I just want to share my observations with the class. See if I'm just bugging. I'm not. An example I always return to is Nate. Nate went viral for dancing and whining to Nasty by Tinashe. He genuinely seems engaged in the culture and can be seen in dance classes surrounded by black people. But notice how he's the one who goes viral. He's the one who gets the brand deals for doing a dance style created and preserved by black people to a song created by a black artist. But because of Nate's complexion and look, and it being surprising that that he can dance well at all, he
Yeah.
is recognized and rewarded. Whereas the black people who do it right alongside him, arguably much better, are treated as nothing but ordinary. That's what we expect. And that's just the beginning of today's discussion, so strap in. In today's video,
Yeah, that's real. I was just thinking, is there the reverse of that? What's the one thing that a black person can do that will like just, he'll go viral for it just because he's black and you're black, so you're not supposed to even be able to do that? I don't know why, but the only thing I can think of are like extreme sports. Like if you're a black guy and you're really good at skateboarding or really good at fucking like snowboarding, that's gonna go viral every time because it's just so unusual, you know what I'm saying?
talking about the scam that is black excellence, double standards, white mediocrity, and marketability, and more. So stay tuned. We're covering a lot of ground today. We're honestly retreading a lot of ground too, so this will be fun if you've been here for a while. Welcome
Hockey, yeah, you know what I'm saying? If you're black and you're really good at like hockey, that'll probably get you some fucking eyeballs too.
Welcome back to Lonnie's Lens. My name is Kaylani. If you love thoughtful deep dives, camp, and a bit of whimsy, you're in the right place. My last video on this channel was having a boyfriend is it embarrassing? You are. And the one before that was on the magnification of black women and how we talk about them. I will be rehashing a lot of topics I've talked about in previous videos because all of this is connected, but I will not be treating this like an intro to racism or oppression like I have with my past videos. I no longer have the patience. But with that being said, go ahead and watch my videos, The Evolution of the Culture Vulture and Keep K-Pop Korean, K-Pop's Blackaboo Problem. I would consider those videos required reading. If you're brand new to discussions about racism and systemic oppression's impact on pop culture, I'm not treating this like baby's first racism. Not today. I'd also throw the myth of the rebrand and peak white feminism in there. Damn, I'm pretty thorough. No wonder I'm tired. But if any of that interests you, everything will be linked in the description below, along with my socials. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, especially if you've been here before. And with that, let's get into today's video. I recently came across a Substack essay by Saheem Patrick titled, "If Bob Dylan was a black man, he'd be working at McDonald's." I mean, what a title. The essay is hilarious, but it's making a very real point about the gap in standards applied to white and black artists and how audiences respond to them differently. Patrick theorizes that the American folk music revival was essentially cover for white mediocrity. In his words, they knew that shit wouldn't slide in jazz or R&B, which were both rapidly increasing in popularity at the time. So instead of competing, white artists carved out a separate lane where the bar was low enough to clear. This does not include Joan Baez. I was listening to It Ain't Me yesterday and it really hit, so I'm not talking about you, queen. And that's really what I'm talking about when I say black excellence is a scam. It's not that excellence in itself is bad, it's that excellence is the minimum required of black artists just to be considered, while their white counterparts are celebrated for simply showing up. Patrick asks the black community specifically, how many artistic innovations are we missing out on because we refuse to dance to any voice that's not church trained? And I think that's a question worth sitting with, because we as black people have also internalized a standard that was designed to exhaust us, and we are constantly forcing it on each other.
I feel like my favorite cartoon character honestly would be Cindy from the Boondocks. Cause that's like me. That's me.
This is our block. Now you gonna get down or you gonna lay down? And if they be like, oh, I don't know, let me think about it. We pull out the Roscoe and we be like, block out, block out.
Stop that. You're white.
I'm homegirl.
Billie Eilish whispered
Right.
into a microphone, put on some baggy clothes looking like a poor substitute for Chingy in 2003, and was declared an innovative cultural phenomenon. I'm not saying the girl's not talented. She is for a white woman, but if a black woman showed up with her level of talent,
She is
energy,
for a white woman. That's crazy.
an alleged innovation, no one would know her name, and she damn sure wouldn't be a 10-time Grammy Award-winning artist. The lane that exists for a
I don't know enough about Billie Eilish's music to even comment on her artistic abilities. From what I've heard, she makes good music. Is it fucking Whitney Houston? Come on. Right? But I mean, do we even have artists that can measure up to Michael Jackson, James Brown, Whitney Houston, Jimi Hendrix? Do we even have artists like that? Like even among black people in the mainstream? I don't know, bro. I mean, we do got some talented vocalists for sure, but still, I'm just saying, like the whole package, like Chris Brown, probably Chris Brown, I would say for sure. But anyway, let's keep it pushing.
Billie Eilish or a Taylor Swift simply does not exist for Black people. And we have to wake that up and we have to be honest about it. Let's look at Doechii, who is doing things sonically and artistically that most people don't even have the range to describe, but somehow she's labeled an industry plant to undermine whatever she accomplishes.
You know, I haven't heard Doechii sing like that. I've heard Doechii songs, but is she like an amazing vocalist or something that I'm just not aware of? Let me check out. Let me see.
Switching sides, only switching angles. Ooh, we go crazy like Rambo.
Oh, wow. Okay. Nice.
Even if she is undeniably talented, it wasn't organic, just shifting the goalpost. Cynthia Erivo and Halle Bailey both received intense backlash and hate for earning their spots in historically white roles. It's insane to think that
Cynthia, she's on some weird shit with Ariana Grande in them interviews, but one thing's for certain is this girl can sing, bro. I watched the first Wicked with my wife. Didn't get to see the second one. She went with my sister for the second one. But I watched the first one. She gave me chills, bro, when she was hitting them notes. She go crazy for sure.
Roles were just filled by white women with a fraction of their talent, there would have been very little pushback or controversy. But even with these women's otherworldly vocal abilities, their roles in these productions were undermined and belittled. It's also important to point out that actors like Tiana Taylor, Halle Bailey, and Cynthia Erivo are multi-hyphenate talents, which is the norm for Black talent. Black actors can't just be singularly talented like white actors. No one expects Florence Pugh, Jenna Ortega, or Kaylee Spaney to do anything other than act because they are white actors. I saw this dynamic randomly when I was scrolling through Instagram and saw a post about critically acclaimed films from Black women directors, and I noticed Oprah in Selma and Mary J. Blige in another film. These women are not trained actors and have gained fame and success through their other talents, but it's always been the norm for Black stars to be multi-hyphenates. It reminded me of Viola Davis's observations in her brilliant memoir, Finding Me, which I highly recommend. As she observes, in Black projects, a lot of stars are musicians and comedians. Kevin Hart, Ice Cube, Ludacris, Luda all come to mind. But for some reason, singularly focused and trained Black actors are often overlooked. Even Will Smith is a good example. This isn't because the musicians and comedians are the most talented actors, but because they are the ones with crossover visibility from other industries that Black actors simply aren't given the infrastructure to build. As Davis jokes, Martin Scorsese is not casting Eminem over De Niro.
Right.
You ate that.
Now, interestingly, for Black men, some do slip through the cracks, and I think that's worth acknowledging rather than scrutinizing. Patrick makes the case for this better than I could. That's why Brent Faiyaz is so important. And Frank Ocean. We need more Black men in R&B who can't sing. Expecting every R&B dude to sound like Jodeci would be like expecting every white pop artist to sound like Celine Dion. And I agree. There's something genuinely liberating about the freedom to just be okay at something, especially for marginalized people who have spent their entire lives being told they have to prove their worth to take up space. If this was a merit-based system, we would have proved our case a long time ago, but it never has been, and that's the point.
Right.
In the hallway, you know I hear my Dougie. Feel good music, I'm bringing it back. What's wrong with that kid? Does he think that he's Black? Chop! Timmy Tim.
Timothy Chalamet showed up on Drewski's show, made a rap song with SD Kid in full urban wear, and leaned into the rumors that he was the mysterious rapper, all while actively campaigning for an Oscar for Best Actor. And it's working. His antics are received as boyish, charming, and endearing. But I can't help but wonder if Michael B. Jordan or any of Chalamet's Black peers participated in even remotely similar antics, whether they'd be received the same way.
Oh, hell nah.
Says no.
Oh, nah, you'd be a thug, right? You'd be a thug. If Michael B. Jordan went on like a fucking YN hood nigga arc, all of them. Oh, what's going on with him? Oh, he's troubled. Oh, he's dangerous. The dangerous, scary Black man.
Is unprofessional to Black and alienating.
Right.
But we won't ever know because Black creatives already know that it's not worth testing. I literally made the same observation about Anak Yai and Alex Kansani in my Culture Vulture video, Alandria and Huda from Love Island. We can see it with the transition from Obama to Trump as well. Black people have to be the epitome of grace and respectability, while white people get to make complete asses out of themselves.
Facts.
The double standard is insane, and it's also so obvious. As one of my favorite creators, Olay from Olurinati, pointed out, Sinners had the highest grossing opening weekend for an original film since 2019, which was $61 million. It had a nearly perfect Rotten Tomatoes score from both audiences and critics alike. By any measure, it was an undeniable success.
Right.
And yet, publications like the New York Times and Variety still found a way to undermine it. Sinners is a big success with a big asterisk, as if making back over half of your budget on opening weekend alone for an original Black horror film was somehow not worth celebrating.
Yeah, that's because the culture of America still is white supremacist supremacist in its nature, right? We still live in a white supremacist society, and so it still like shudders at black excellence. Anytime black people do anything to the same level of or as or better than their white counterparts, it is proven that white supremacy was false. And so all of the wealth and all of the accomplishments and everything down to the modern day wealth gap is just evidence of evil. It's just evidence of a group of people systematically oppressing another group of people, cutting them off at the knees, handicapping them at every turn possible. And that is the only reason why there is a disparity between outcomes in the groups. And it's black excellence that proves that. And so they are always trying to downplay black excellence.
We're celebrating with caution and caveats. It's like they were short-circuiting trying to figure out how to delegitimize the success of sinners. And I guess they found it. Shit. When black excellence becomes too big to ignore, the system doesn't celebrate it, it just moves the goalpost. They reframe it. They don't apply that same scrutiny when the film is white, safe, palatable, and exactly what they expected. The rules only get complicated.
Yeah, like when a fucking gay, dark-skinned Nicki Minaj stan, aka Lil Nas X, just out of the blue, having never made any country music before, just pops out one day and shatters every fucking record that any country song has ever made in terms of like the Billboard, you know, the whatever the fuck. He broke a shit ton of records and all that. They were like, you're not, this isn't even country. Right? The idea of just some black kid coming out of nowhere and just like shattering all of their fucking records is just like, this shit made their blood boil, bro. Fuck that. No. Because they're not going to have that. There will never come a point where a white guy does that with rap music. You know what I'm saying? Well, I can't never say never, but I think that's highly unlikely. I mean, Eminem, he took a really good swing at it, though, for sure. You know what I'm saying? And he is one of the GOATs. But I'm just saying, like, this was, and in all reality, if the song was really just that good, if we could just say it was objectively that good, black people really wouldn't even like get mad about that shit. If the song is fire, if it's possible for a white man, I don't know if it is possible because you can't separate rap from black culture and the black story. Can a white dude ever really tap into rap music to that extent and have it resonate with the world in that way? I don't know. Because it's more than just how good the song sounds, you know what I'm saying? It's more than the lyricism. But let's say it is. I think black people would just give that song its flowers and give that artist his flowers. You know what I'm saying? But when it's the other way around, it's a no-go.
When black people win in ways they can't anticipate or control. So we've established that black excellence is a scam and the standard is different for non-black artists. But why? Why does this keep happening so consistently across so many industries and in so many different ways? It's clearly not a coincidence, there's a machine behind it, and it's worth understanding how it works. I mentioned blank space before in my video on the myth of the rebrand, and I think Marx's observations apply here as well. He argues that macro culture, the mainstream, the stuff that gets the biggest budgets and the widest reach, has always subsisted off the creations of marginalized groups who build subcultures on the margins. They create something real out of necessity, out of community, out of resistance, and then the mainstream finds it, repackages it, and sells it back to everyone else, usually without the people who made it seeing much of a return, if any. This is why black people are responsible for so much of what we consider American culture, honestly global culture at this point. And I want to be clear, this is not me arguing that black people are inherently more creative or talented. That kind of racial essentialism would be just as silly as the white supremacist version that's been pushed for centuries with literally no evidence. Race is just a social construct, but what is real is that marginalization creates specific conditions, tight-knit community, the need to build something of your own when the mainstream won't accept you, and those conditions are what builds culture. It's not
the reality is, when you take away resources, people get creative. That's really what it is. The oppression fosters creativity.
Or an inherent advantage.
It builds character.
It's just what people do when they have to. It's not that white people lack the capability of being excellent or innovative. They just have never had to be. So why would they start now? And I'm
Right.
speaking
That's
generally
true.
about
That's a
whiteness.
fact.
It's not all white people. Hey, I love Paramore, okay? And this is where capitalism comes in. The innovation happens on the margins, and then capitalism decides who gets to profit from it. But that is entirely dependent on what the industry believes consumers will buy. And consumers have been conditioned, consciously or not, to find blackness less palatable, less safe, and less universally appealing. So the same aesthetic, the same sound, the same style gets a very different reception depending on whose face is attached to it. This is also why non-black artists who adopt black aesthetics are almost always operating on a delay. They are not in community with black people who are creating in real time. So by the time something filters through to them, it's already moved on within the culture that created it. The mainstream does not innovate. It adopts, and it adopts late, once something has already been filtered and deemed safe enough to sell to the masses. Hence the term culture vulture. Billie Eilish is my clearest example. Again, why does she dress like Chingy in 2003? The aesthetics she became famous for weren't new. Baggy clothes, a bandana, nonchalant energy, and a dash of queer baiting. Retro black aesthetics that black artists weren't being supported for anymore. On a white woman, it was a revelation, a cultural reset. On the black people who were doing it first, it wasn't marketable to the mainstream. I haven't seen anybody else talk about it, but does it tickle anybody
Pull
else?
up your pants.
That James Cameron is going to be directing the concert film for Billie Eilish's tour, because that tickles me. That's just so funny, because the man that is obsessed with putting white people and white men in dreadlocks and tribal aesthetics, for him to be teaming up with Billie Eilish just makes the most sense in the world.
That's
and
hilarious.
I love it. Like, the jokes write themselves. I don't marketable is really the key word here, because it's the word the industry hides behind when it's making decisions rooted in bias. Marketability sounds neutral and data driven. It sounds like math and numbers, but what it actually means is, who does our consumer base, shaped by decades of media that centered whiteness as the default, feel comfortable spending money on? And the answer, more often than not, has less to do with talent or innovation and more to do with proximity to whiteness. I already said it in my Zendaya video, it's not about talent. This is not me saying that other cultures should keep their hands off of black culture entirely. In a perfect world, I would love nothing more than to see a seamless and genuine exchange of cultures, and there is a precedent for that. Tina Marie was deeply rooted in black musical tradition and was embraced for it, not just because she was a white woman doing something unexpected, but because she was authentically in community with the culture. She understood the lineage, she was connected to the people, and that comes through in her work. And she was also never propelled into the mainstream, rather stayed reasonably successful among her black peers. Her far more successful and acclaimed counterpart, Madonna, took the vulture route, dipping into black and Latino aesthetics like the ballroom scene, and achieving unprecedented success and acclaim for her innovation and bravery, just for her to abandon the aesthetics as quickly as she adopted them. It reminds me of my Megan Thee Stallion video that feels like forever ago, but people were trying to be like, oh my god, Lisetta Femme, they featured the House of Juicy Couture in their music video. The problem was more so that Lisetta Femme has never engaged with ballroom before, and they're just using it for a concept for their most recent comeback, and they're just gonna get rid of it and not engage with it again in any meaningful way. Their next comeback, like, it's so weird, and I hate that that's normalized or seen as like, oh my god, well, they put black people in their music video, what else do you want? So the problem is not the exchange of cultures, it's the extraction, taking without pouring back and profiting without any proximity to the actual people within the community. And as long as the infrastructure rewards extraction more than it rewards the source, the exchange will never actually be equal. And it's not an exchange. I don't know why I wrote that. It's not an exchange. It's never been an exchange. Like, what are black people getting from other cultures? What are we getting? So that's the cycle. Black people create, the mainstream adopts on a delay, capitalism decides who gets the infrastructure, the investment, and the protection, and the consumer, largely on autopilot, follows along. Nobody has to be consciously racist for this to work. It just requires enough people never stopping to ask why they're more comfortable with one version of a thing than another.
I've always wanted to be more Korean. It's weird, like, makes me have something called racial imposter syndrome. That's where you feel guilty doing the other thing. You know, like, I wanted to be Korean so much that I used to dress like Korean kids. I don't know if you know this, Korean kids just dress like black kids, so I ended up right back where I started.
You can see this crystal clearly with the K-pop industry.
I was like, where's that going? That's hilarious. I can't lie. That's funny, boy.
K-pop fan since 2015. It's so...
Clearly, he's a mixed race dude, right? He's half black, half Korean. He's like, shit, man, I wanted to be more like Korean, so I started dressing like Korean kids. But Korean kids dress like black kids, so I ended up right where I started. That was funny.
Again, Tarzan from All Day Project set the bar pretty low, but I was cautiously hopeful. And then Fashion came out, and I was like,
the fuck was
my friends are pretty low, but I was...
Oh my god, let's take a look at this Travis Scott knockoff right here, boy. Jesus Christ, man. Jesus Christ, bro. Go walk in there. Go move to Korea, see how they treat you, bro. Go move to Korea, see how they treat you. You know what I'm saying? I promise you ain't gonna be nothing nice.
It reminded me of a comment I got on my Keep K-pop Korean video that really stuck with me. The commenter basically accused me and all black K-pop fans of having internalized anti-blackness that led us to support K-pop artists instead of black artists. And I'm humble enough to admit that I'm still working through my internalized anti-blackness. We all are, but that just felt like too simple a diagnosis to me. I've grown up loving black artists and black music, always acknowledging it as the origin of so much of culture today. One thing about me, I just love a boy band and a girl group, whether it's New Edition, TLC, SNSD, VIX, CNCO, or NLT. I'm sad. Did y'all know Kevin McHale was in a boy band? Obsessed. But there's something specific about K-pop that kept me there. But to understand that, we first have to talk about what actually happens to black artists in the industry. Black artists are not invested in. We've already established that. The bar set for them is impossibly high. They are immediately deemed less marketable by industries shaped by the same consumer bias we've been unpacking this entire video. And the result is that even the most talented black artists and groups don't always get the runway they need to sustain a career. Whatever happened to mindless behavior?
Right.
That's not a unique story. I watched black artists and groups I loved disappear.
I remember those boys. I showed my wife mindless behavior. I was like, you ever heard this song?
And you can hit me back with the less than symbol number 3.
With the less than symbol number 3. I remember that shit, man. I remember thinking I was in Jamaica when this shit dropped, boy. I remember thinking this nigga's braids were so fucking tough. And being like, is this even possible to be black and grow your braids this long? Took me a while, but I figured it out. Figured out how to make your hair grow long and strong, boy. Shit. But he's definitely mixed though, for sure. This kid right here with the long ass braids. All these kids probably mix a little bit when you really take a look at them. But yeah, he definitely mixed with some. They've been growing his hair since he was a little jit.
Because the talent wasn't there, but because the infrastructure wasn't there to support them, or willing to. They were here one day, and then they weren't. But they are kind of back. Have y'all seen that dance practice with Ray Ray and Prodigy? When's the tour?
Oh,
When's
wow.
the reunion tour? Because I'll be there. I want the record to show I was always a Ray Ray girl. I just love long hair. So for the first time while writing the script, I realized that it wasn't just the black musical influence that drew me to K-pop. It was the machine behind it. Walk with me, but my first car was an adorable Mini Cooper that I absolutely adored, but the engine light came on every other day. Now I have a much less identifiable and bland SUV, but I love it because it's reliable. And that was K-pop for me. It was reliable. The thing about K-pop that doesn't get talked about enough in these conversations is that it is an incredibly well-resourced industry. And what that meant for me as a young fan was that I was guaranteed something that black music couldn't consistently give me at the time. Sustained investment. Consistency. Nearly every K-pop group I had an interest in was guaranteed years of top-tier production, content, albums, world tours. The machine just kept running without question. I was never a Nugu stan though, so that wasn't my struggle. Me and the big three were like this. But I see you Nugu stans. I loved Priston and Wiki Mickey. Rest in peace. But anyway, I really need to chill out with the asides. When you're a young fan with no framework for understanding why your favorite black artists keep vanishing, while these K-pop groups just keep going, you just follow the content. So I don't think the answer is simply internalized or even externalized anti-blackness, though it is there. I think it's more so just taking what you can get. And that's not to excuse the weird K-pop fans, black K-pop fans that are clearly, anti-black. I'm not saying that. It's a cycle. Black art isn't invested in. Black audiences, especially younger ones, redirect their energy and their money towards machines that do have that investment. Those machines profit, and our limited choices are read as our genuine consumer preferences, so black art gets even less investment. It's really fucked up. Which is why it's easy for me at 23 to look back and have all this nuance and understanding, but I'm not going to sit here and judge my preteen self who had no clue or language for any of this. She was just following what was available to her. Shit, I didn't even have the language 6 months ago at 22. The critique and burden to find the solution was never on her. I'm really wondering if I'm gonna have the courage to post a picture of me at 13.
Yeah, man, but go ahead and check out the rest of this young lady's video if you want to hear the rest of her commentary, rest of her video essay. I'm going to more or less summarize the conclusion of this video now. And so essentially, one, whenever you identify that somebody is a culture vulture, you, as a black person, you have a responsibility not to continue to support them. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one's saying that you're committing some kind of like sin or some kind of you're betraying your race somehow. It's just that that time, that money that you're investing into that machine that is literally just stealing from your culture, you can probably find a black person who is even way better than this like replica and give them your support. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be a more active listener, a more of an active and thoughtful consumer. The second point that she makes is that we as black people, we need to chill the fuck out, bro, in regards to the standards that we hold one another to. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody don't gotta be Michael Jackson. Everyone does not have to be Tupac. Every rapper doesn't have, you know, even mumble rap, right? Like, how much of that was really just the manifestation of this, right? You had young people who were innovating on rap music, and yeah, maybe they weren't the most lyrical. They weren't the greatest lyricists. And a lot of that is because, you know, it's not that in the past, all black men who tried to rap were just amazing lyricists. It's just there was such few resources to go around. The only ones you really ever heard of were the best of the best. In the SoundCloud era where, you know what I'm saying, you could get a part-time job, save up for a couple of months, buy yourself a microphone, right? Get yourself a fucking jailbroken version of FL Studio or Pro Tools or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Go and record in your closet and then upload your shit to SoundCloud. It lowered the bar to the point where young people who didn't have those kinds of resources behind them, and also maybe have not put in the kind of time to develop the skills that would get them to a place where they would be getting signed by a Universal. They're getting exposure. And so what we were able to now see was a wider variety in regards to skill and talent coming out of black hip hop and the music. But what did black people do? A lot of black people, especially the older ones, they demonized it. They called it mumble rap, right? When in all reality, it was just, hey, it's just variety, bro. It's just variety. And so, you know what I'm saying? We need to chill the fuck out and stop trying to like shit on a nigga just because he can't dance like Chris Brown, or he can't sing like fucking Michael Jackson or like Chris Brown. That nigga too talented, man. It's a shame what he did with Rihanna, though. That really just, you know, that really just fucked shit up for his legacy in a way. But hey, man, he's still one of the GOATs. No one can ever take that away from him as far as the entertaining shit goes. Anyway, guys, y'all let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and until next time, peace out.